On behalf of Uganda Police Force, I welcome you all to this important occasion, the launch of the annual crime report of 2025. Today, we gather at Police Headquarters Nakuru to reflect on the achievements and challenges of the past year and reaffirm our collective commitment to building a safer Uganda. I take this singular honor to invite you to make your remarks, sir.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, the Chair, Defense and Internal Affairs, my colleague, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, my colleagues, the directors present for the Uganda Police Force, the senior officers of the UPDF, the senior prisons officers, all our partners from the different agencies, all protocol observed. Good morning. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank you for sparing your valuable time to come and join us in this launch. It's my honor and privilege to present the Uganda Police Force Annual Crime Report 2025. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Annual Crime Report 2025 provides a comprehensive analysis of crime trends, patterns, and collective efforts of the force. It is also a tool for accountability, transparency, and strategic planning. The report indicates crime grouped by 10% in comparison to the 4.1% in 2024. This milestone is attributed to several factors, which I'm going to enumerate. We realize that there is a clear chain of command and control which has improved decision making. I'm confident that under my stewardship, the Uganda Police Force shall continue to improve command capabilities through trainings and mentorship at all levels. The existence of a strong interagency mechanism under the able leadership of the Chief of Defense Forces has enhanced effective twinning of our capabilities. I thank with gratitude all the members of the interagency. The implementation of sub-counter policing model is giving the Uganda Police Force mileage over crime. This has enabled the Uganda Police Force to bring policing services closer to the communities. And I would like to note here, this is still work in progress. We are not yet fully to all the sub-counties of this country. And I believe once we get there, we shall have a better crime report in the years to come. We have so far covered 56% of the sub-counties, and efforts are being made to cover all sub-counties, including providing them with relevant resources. There has also been upward increase in acquisition and effective utilization of force multipliers, especially CCTV, canine services, forensics, better equipment, and other IT-related solutions. Over the past year, Uganda Police Force sustainably executed intelligence-led operations and investigations in this country, and I would like to recognize the efforts of the major players in this area. In terms of intelligence, I think our Crime Intelligence Directorate has done a great deal. We have had focused operations, the commanders on the ground, we appreciate them, and the CID for following through to ensure that we process all these suspects to where they are supposed to be processed to. This has facilitated proactive policing. And I urge all officers of the Uganda Police Force to continue engaging with the communities, but also always keep with the realization that our strength is beyond ourselves. Our strength is in mobilizing all the good residents and the citizens of this country to ensure that we are always on top of the situation. We have strengthened the working partnerships with the MDS, the Judiciary, Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, JSP, formerly jailhouse institutions, local governments, international partners, and PSOs, which has enabled us to build synergies in our strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, without disorganizing the protocols, allow me to recognize the presence of one of our members of parliament. I think I've seen him. If my eyes can still allow me, I want to welcome Honorable Ngompek. I think he's a member of parliament from the Kingdom of Bunyoro. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without taking a lot more of your time, allow me to invite the Director of Criminal Investigations. After him will be the Director of Traffic and Road Safety. After him will be the Director of Fire Prevention and Rescue Services to take us through the summary of the report. I thank you.
First of all, sir, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving us this opportunity yet to come here and account to the country what happened in 2025. But before I do that, sir, within the short time, allow me, Afande, first of all, thank my colleagues. I saw General Damudidaria. There is a lot. This report we are going to summarize has a lot of our colleagues, right from intelligence, the technical arms, the ICT. But for us as CID, the IGP tasks us to set up a secretariat and put it together. So what we are going to account to you is a collective output of the entire police family. And I want to congratulate them upon what we see that was done last year. In September 2014, His Excellency the President and the Commander-in-Chief paid us a visit in Chibuli. Out of the many things, we requested him to support us to build a data analysis center, which would help us digitalize the process of working with these statistics. Because for a long time, police has been manual. I want to thank you, sir, before this audience and the country, that I'm so happy to report that that building has eventually been roofed within a space of 1 year. I find it, thank you, and by extension to the leadership, the president and all, because we think we are now going to be able, once we complete it, and I'm happy I saw Honorable Kazwenje, and I think in Parliament they will support us more. If we are able to equip it, we should not wait for a whole year, because we can quickly now be able to analyze even per month, per 6 months, and then these statistics can help the decision makers. So for us as CID, I find that we are very grateful for that support. Why it is unique, it is also has been built by our police engineering. There is no contractor here, and I want to thank Ladit Apora and the team. This building has been built by Uganda Police, and we want to congratulate you on that milestone. There was a 10.2% decrease in the volume of crimes that were reported from what we reported here of 218,000 cases that were registered in 2024. Now, for us, in these last 4 years, we see a cumulative reduction in the number of cases that are reported. And that's what we account for. This does not mean at all that we are very happy when we see some incidents which are isolated, where some of our people are attacked and so on. I want to assure you that everything is being done to ensure that we can completely take these figures down, and then we remain with a manageable percentage of crime which we cannot completely stop. But for now, this is what basically our report shows. Now, in those cases, we managed to submit 115,301 to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, who is here. Now, out of those cases, he also managed to take 79,291 to court. Now, in those cases last year, we managed to get some persons who were convicted, and these were 31,732. These arose from a cumulative total of 24,899 cases which were convicted. But Afande, as we have come to the country, we also realize there are cases that were dismissed, there are cases which were acquitted, and there are still cases in form of backlog which are still under inquiry. But having said this, there's also another category of interest, which are those we did proceed with. And I want to take this opportunity to just explain how this number grows. A big part of this country still have a problem separating criminal cases from civil cases. So you find people want to settle civil matters using the criminal justice system. Now, many times when these cases are reported, the Director of Public Prosecution, our own detectives will look at them, and eventually they will be able to advise, and many of those cases are referred back to go to the civil courts. But having said that, we can also take you slightly on a few specific slides which talk about individual cases. But before just that slide, I find that it's very important for this audience and the country to know that from our current manpower strength as CID, we are working on a 1 to 54 detective caseload. Now, many of you who are familiar with this will realize this explains the bigger part of our backlog. One officer handling 54 cases, and globally, the desirable situation is about 1 to 12 cases. That's ranging per month. Now, this calls for a lot of capacity building, a lot of resourcing, so that we can be able to expedite the investigation. So that part is very important for you as we assess the performance of last year. Now, let's talk briefly about the individual cases. Thefts. Last year, we registered 56,360 cases of theft. While this number is high, for us it was again a reduction. So you realize that slowly there is some work being done. While it's not yet, we are not yet where we want to be, but clearly some gradual process of reducing the crime has been registered. On assaults, we registered 26,366, which was also a decline compared to the 29,580, which we registered in 2024. This gave us a percentage of 10.8%. On sex-related offenses, we also see we registered 606 cases, which represents 6.4% of the overall registered crimes. Now, in our view, this reduced, but I know we have a lot of stakeholders here who are working with us in this area, and we hope we shall be able to break it into patterns, the districts, the most affected areas, so that it can shape your initiatives and activities. On domestic violence, a total of 12,361 cases were registered at police stations in 2025, compared to 14,073 cases which were registered the previous year. And this reflected a decline of 12.2%. Of interest were also the economic and corruption-related crimes. I am happy I saw General Isoke here. I saw the representative of the IGG. While police once in a while comes in to support this effort of anti-corruption, those people are the lead agencies there. But in terms of what was reported on our side, we see a total of 11,548 cases that were registered, which was a slight decline from what had been registered the previous year. Now, there is another area of interest to the public, the break-ins. A total of 11,818 cases were reported to police in 2025, compared to 13,511 which were reported in 2014. This gave us a decrease of 12.5%. But let there be no doubt in your minds that any breaking is a concern to the police. I've watched up front some of these incidents that have happened, and our colleagues are all concerned, especially if we can't resolve and make the streets very, very calm. But I believe this is work in progress, but we shouldn't lose sight of the bigger picture of the cases that were reported countrywide. On threatening violence, Afande IGP, we continue to register some cases which were 8,848 cases. But this also was a decrease compared to what had been registered in the previous year. On obtaining by false pretenses, we see the figure also went down in 2025, whereby we registered a total of 8,455 cases compared to the 10,449 cases. But I think something there is Secretariat will correct it in terms of the flow and the comparison. On child-related offenses, a total of 8,064 cases constituted child-related offenses, indicating a 14.3% decrease compared to 9,408, which was reported in 2024. On robberies, a total of 7,863 cases were reported in 2025 compared to 8,163 in 2024, which gave us a 3.7 decrease. There were also cases of malicious damage to property, and compared to what was registered in 2024 of 7,992, this past year we registered 7,303. On criminal trespass, a total of 6,467 cases were reported in 2025 compared to 7,674 in 2024. With regard to homicides, which normally really raise a lot of emotions, especially in the population, a total of 4,238 cases were reported, representing a 2.2% of the total reported crimes during the year. This, when compared to what had been reported in 2024, reflected a 2.1% decrease. There is a challenge I found from our analysis on this slide of narcotics. We have continuously seen while the figures here indicate that the cases we handled have reduced by about 30%, there is still a huge concern, especially in the public, when we see drugs of all sorts beginning to infiltrate our schools and our homes. So I think this is another area where the country is going to really take time and reflect, and I hope Parliament and all the concerned, because on average, every 2 weeks we get a case of interest where a family, and interestingly these families are of, I would say, well off to do. Children have been spoiled, they are taking drugs in schools. So this is an area where the figures show a reduction in terms of cases. The magnitude and the impact on our society is coming of interest, and we hope to look forward to further discussions with key stakeholders on how we can address this problem. On arson, a total of 15,042 cases were reported in 2025 compared to 1,604, which was reported in 2014. Now, on political and electoral offences, so the statistics of February and March have not been captured in this report of last year. However, from what we captured since the campaign started up to December, we registered a total of 800 cases at various police stations. This started right from the primaries, the disagreements, the political indiscipline in some of our circles. I hope Honorable Kaswenje will protect me on this in the Parliament. But we would see a lot of fights which were not necessarily presidential, but many of these cases arose from parliamentary elections. The disagreements, the fights over positions of parliament. Land continues to be one of the most contentious areas in our society today. In 2025 alone, a total of 663 cases were reported to police compared to 397 in 2024, which indicated a 67% increase. But I want to put a disclaimer here. Land has so many other related cases, trespass, which necessarily are not reported as land conflicts. So when you cumulatively add all the different crimes, some have had murders in the land conflicts, trespass, all those have not been included here. We have just registered those cases where there were direct land wrangles. So with those remarks, I want to thank you. That's the summary of the bigger report. In that report, which every person in this audience will have a copy as soon as the fund declares it launched, you will see that we have also put a lot of syndicates that were disrupted, a lot of areas of interest, the cases, how they were resolved. So it will be a little bit more detailed for you to read. But we have just picked out the key highlights of each of those crimes. And with those remarks, Afande, I want to request that I stop here and invite my colleague, the Director of Traffic, to also summarize what the situation was last year in terms of traffic. Thank you, sir.
We registered a total of 322,441 cases in 2025 compared to 426,432 in 2024, which marked a 24.4% decrease. These are traffic offenses, and there are many traffic offenses that if I can enumerate, we can take a whole day here, but there are many. The most common one is that one of drink driving, which is common in many audiences. This decrease was a result of so many activities, but most important, the road safety education that was intensified in 2021. We initiated taking road safety to the grassroots, where we moved to church leaders, the religious leaders. We interfaced with opinion leaders in most of the villages. We interfaced with school children, and I wish to mention that though the crashes have an increase, but in the 18 years and below, there was a noticeable decrease. We registered 26,044 road crashes in the year 2025, and most of these crashes were recorded in the month of December. The month of December witnesses heightened activities, and everybody in the country is very vigorous. And this vigor is translated onto our roads and discipline. We also had 13,563 serious crashes. And these serious crashes is where we have bodily injuries. You may be involved in an accident, and once you don't sustain body injury, we shall not classify it as serious. It will be minor. When we look at the trend of annual road traffic crashes from 2021 to 2025, presents an interesting scenario. And this is where we should not lose hope. When you look at those graphs, you will see the crashes are increasing, but at a decreasing rate. And when you look at those graphs, you need to go deeper and analyze the vehicle growth in this country. In 2025, there was an increase of 29.4% in the vehicle growth, and that can explain why the absolute figures continue increasing. The crash severity, especially comparing 2024 to 2025, when you look at the bar graphs, the rate is 2025, and you look at the fatality. In 2024, we had 4,434, and jumps to 4,602. I would like to mention that last year, 2025, we registered unique accidents. And notable one was the Kiliandongo bus crash, where we lost 44 persons and 66 were injured. It was tragic. We also registered in Chigorobia, Hoima, Bulisa Road, 19 persons died in a single accident. And the Uganda Tororo Highway, there was an accident, very unique, where a container fell off the trailer and hit the matatu, and 10 people died. Very unique accidents that can explain the 3.8 increase in these fatalities. Let's move to the crashes and fatality risks by the time of the day. Most crashes were recorded between 1800 hours and 2000 hours. This is the evening period. This is a rush hours. And 3,484 crashes were registered. However, between these good hours when we are sleeping, we registered crashes. And this is the time when we have few vehicles and few people walking on the road. This period, though the figures are not high, is most lethal, especially in KMP. Most lethal, especially in KMP. We have few people walking, we have few vehicles, but we register death. And this is a period that we need to contain and focus on.
I am Stephen Talui, Director of Fire Prevention and Rescue Services of Uganda Police. So I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here today as we handle the annual report, crime report. In the year 2025, the Directorate of Fire and Rescue Services analyzed a report. And in that report, you look at, we have the element of firefighting and the element of special operations in rescue, which we handle at the Directorate, among others. So this year we had 1,310 incidents handled at the Directorate and rescue operations, compared to the previous year of 2024, we had 1,595, representing a decrease of 17.9%, which implies that we had a decrease in fires and our rescue operations. Out of all those incidents, 1,000 fires, it was compared to the one of last year, which was 1,280 in 2024. 310 were special rescues of operations. These rescues, somebody may say, what are these rescues? Normally, the Directorate of Fire is called upon in a special when we are rescuing a person who are trapped, either like fire incidents or on road accidents, or those who are drowned in waters. That is the 310. I am happy to note that there was also a decrease in Uganda this time. And we did not receive our resources. There was 4 response. The other year, there are more. But this year, they have reduced to 12. Only the whole year of 2025. I also want to take note that Uganda firefighters in the country, the ratio in which we operate is 1 to 75,000 people.
It's a collective effort, and I just wish to encourage all of us to sustain this relationship. There is no option. That's the way to go. But also, having said that, allow me to express my sincere gratitude on behalf of the police force, HE the President, who has tirelessly and continuously given us support in terms of logistics, but also in terms of ideas. I think I have cheated him if I don't mention the fact that one of our flagship projects that we have continuously talked about, the sub-county policing model, this is his idea, and ours is to ensure that we implement this idea, and therefore I take this opportunity to thank him. Allow me to officially launch the Uganda Police Force Annual Crime Report 2025. Thank you for God and my country.